everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to take a look at the new DC Collectibles 6-inch Batman the Animated Series Batman figure. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style of packaging we've seen with all the Batman the Animated Series figures. You've got the figure clearly displayed on the card back. You have that Batman the Animated Series logo on the card back in the background. You've got the name of the character off to the side. It tells us this is figure number 13 in the series. On the one side of the packaging, it tells us the figure was sculpted by Irene Matar, who sculpted a lot of these figures. And then on the back, again, we just have that logo from the animated series. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. So real quick, we'll just go over the accessories that this comes with. It comes with the basic figure stand like we've seen. Same figure stand we saw with the first Batman figure. Does not have the extendable clamp. It's just got the clamp that moves up and down on the base with the clear plastic. And then it's got that standard white base with the turnaround images of the figure like we've seen with all the figures in this line. Then the only other accessories the figure comes with, well, he does come with a batarang, and then he comes with a grapple gun, and then he comes with multiple pairs of hands. So he comes with a pair of closed-fisted hands which are attached to the figure when you first open it. Then he's got a pair of like grip hands for holding like the grapple gun. Then he's got a pair of hands that are a little more closed to hold like the batarang. And then he comes with one hand for a right hand with the grapple gun already sculpted in the hand. So pretty much the same kind of hands we saw again with that first Batman figure. So speaking of that figure, this figure is very similar in design. It's not quite as bulky. The new Adventures, or the new Batman Adventures Batman figure is a little buffer, I guess you could say. The biggest difference obviously is the bat symbols. You know, this one has the yellow bat symbol, more true to what we saw in the original Michael Keaton movies. Shorter ears. He's got dark blue on the underside of his cape as opposed to just the solid black cape. And then he's got the yellow utility belt. And then his costume, while it has the black and gray, it's a little bit different shade of gray. It's a little more, I guess, maybe bluish tint to the gray color on this figure. Now, one other difference between the two is you don't have the little pegs showing up on the front like you did on the early figures of this line. So they've removed those ugly pegs on the legs of the figure, which is nice. And the cape is just made with that kind of vinyl material, that flexible vinyl material like we see with all the capes in this line. And the back of the cape is a solid black. And the figure stands just a little bit under 6.5 inches tall. He's a little bit shorter than the first Batman figure. Basically, the ears are taller on this one, so that gives him a little more height. Here he is next to the Robin figure, and you can see Batman is taller than Robin, so the scale seems to be pretty good between these two. And just for one more comparison, here he is next to the Joker figure, and Batman is a little bit taller than the Joker. Basically, again, with the ears, give him a little more height. Okay, so articulation with this figure is pretty good. The head is on a ball joint so he can look left and right. And he's got some up and down movement with the head, more up than down. And he can kind of pivot his head to the left and to the right as well. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint so he can get his arm out pretty good. He's got good rotation there at the arm. He's got the rotation at the elbow, just a single hinged elbow, but he can bend his elbow about that much. And then he's got the swivel with the wrists, and then all the hands have hinges on them, so he's got the up and down movement with the hands. He does have a swivel at the waist, no ab crunch or anything like that, but he does have the swivel. Then he's got those side joints like all the figures in the line have, so he can do the splits good. And he can get his leg forward good, pretty good, and back. No thigh swivel. No knee swivel, single hinged knee, but he can bend his knee about that much. No boot cuff swivel of any kind, but he does have ankle pivot, so good movement at the ankle, and he's got good up and down movement with the feet as well. And then no peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like the figure. I think the paint applications are pretty solid. Articulation is good. You know, I think this is the Batman figure everyone's been wanting or waiting for since the line was announced. Even though this figure is not super different from the first Batman figure based on the new Batman Adventures, I think the one with the yellow bat symbol and everything is the one that people have really kind of been waiting for. And so I don't think this figure really disappoints. My only minor complaint is it would have been nice if they had included a second cape, kind of like they did with the first Batman, maybe one that kind of covered up more of his body like you would see in the cartoon and stuff. But otherwise, I think this is an overall good figure. Now, this figure is hitting comic and specialty shops now, just in time for the release of the new Batman the Animated Series Batmobile that's coming from DC Collectibles. That's due out next week at comic and specialty shops. So if you're planning on picking that up, you're probably definitely going to want to pick this figure up as well. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There's a link in the description below. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.